Hey, it looks like we're live here at Friday Night Lights with the halftime show with Kevin Pillow. My name is Sean Webb. I'm your director of community engagement and the foundation. Kevin, I'm live at the I'm sorry, not Palm Desert. I was there last week. I'm at La Quinta High School Stadium, and we're right before the half. And La Quinta and Palm Springs are tied at 14-14.
Got ourselves a barn burner there as usual. I like this. It's as I'm referring to it as moving day, Sean. This is where teams need to ramp it up and start making a push for the postseason. About 3 games left after this, and a game that once was a rivalry game, so to speak. Still a very, very pivotal matchup between Palm Springs and La Quinta. And you said, Sean, as always, because you're the man on the spot, a good crowd from our friends from the West Valley too. So
I'll tell you, we've got a great, La Quinta always has an amazing
Jesus.
size, stands and so forth. But our friends at Palm Springs, they got a full stand stadium over there. I would say about a good 50% full. It's pretty nice to see the amount of people here that are here for this game. Before we move on, I want to make sure to thank our friend Craig Campbell, who allows us to go ahead and put this on his platform at CoachellaValley.com, as well as thank the Educational Foundation Board for purchasing the StreamYard license with our grant that we received from the city of Indio. So thank you for those guys. But no, Kevin, we got some great high school football going on tonight, don't we?
We do, and like I mentioned, it is moving day, and I will get the score as always. Our little our ESPN ticker there on the bottom. They're not a sponsor, but we've never turned down a donation from ESPN for the Desert Sands Educational Foundation. As Sean mentioned, a exciting game, exciting bunch of games going around the town. Now, my game didn't exactly go La Quinta's way last week, but another rivalry game for Palm Desert is going the way of the visitor this time, and that is Xavier up 9-7 with just a couple of minutes left in the first half. James Dockery's gang down there sticking with Palm Desert, so it should be exciting. But Sean, you always have a little entertainment up your sleeve, and I think the halftime entertainment is roaming right behind you.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, they are. The Blackhawk Brigade is going to be here to perform their halftime entertainment show, and from what I understand, we'll probably be able to show that on screen where you have your pre. Oh, that's the end of the first. We're coming up to the end of the first half here, but
So yeah, Sean's a few seconds ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'd be fantastic while you talk about the highlights of the game that we can maybe highlight some of the band performances that are going around throughout the desert that we have access to, since you got that amazing license through the National Federation of High School Sports.
Yeah, and I want to say thank you. Of course, not a sponsor, but we'll say thank you to them and of course the CIF. Just real quick around the scoreboard. Sticking with our friends here in the Desert Sands Unified School District, Shadow Hills is up right now on our friends from Rancho Mirage, 10-0 out at Rancho. Also taking a look, Indio, by the way, is off tonight. They'll play tomorrow against Banning. Also, like you mentioned, Palm Springs and La Quinta there, 14-14 tie. Xavier up on Palm Desert, 9-7. And in the Desert Valley League, it would be Coachella and Palm Springs. Tight game there. The Mighty Arabs with a 14-7 lead. Desert Hot Springs 7-2, trailing 29 Palm Desert Valley all over Desert Mirage, 41-0. And like I mentioned, Indio High School, believe this or not, Mr. Webb.
Okay.
But Indio, right there, as we have the standings below, Indio technically at this very moment tied with both Cathedral City and Coachella Valley for first place in the Desert Valley League. So this is, again, we mentioned moving day. This is when teams start to move up. We have Cat City and Coachella playing for basically the front of the DVL. But Indio, with a win tomorrow against the Broncos, could put them right in the driver's seat for first place in the DVL. So that's pretty cool for some of our Desert Sands schools. Of course, we represent we kind of like to follow everybody here in the Coachella Valley. And
Correct.
Sean, you're like kind of that old show called Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? Should be Where in the World is Sean Webb, and you can follow all of his adventures both in and around the school on social media. I like to give him a plug at Desert Weber. He's highly entertaining, folks.
Hey, thank you, Kevin. I appreciate that. No, I always like to say that I have the best job in the district. I get to go around and highlight all the great things that are going on at school sites, with students, with staff, as well as in the community. Like today, I got to spend my day with Leadership Coachella Valley, and we've got our own Kristen Wood, who's in the LCAP coordinator. You've had her on the show at halftime with us over at Shadow Hills, but she's in the program. I got to spend the day with her with some amazing adults, leaders in the Coachella Valley that, as you guys know, I try to bring back to the desert sands to help us out over here, either to be a speaker, to be a mentor, to be a partner with the school. And I'll flat out say it, always ask them for donations too.
Doesn't hurt. We got to keep programs like this floating with the generous donations of all of our supporters of the Desert Sands Educational Foundation. I'm sure you can find links to how you can get involved on Sean's Twitter account at Desert Weber on Twitter and other social media accounts. And of course, if you're watching us on Facebook, hi everybody. Thank you for supporting and liking Desert Sands Educational Foundation and giving us a little, why don't you ring the little bell there on YouTube, because you never know when this guy over here, or maybe he's over there. I never get mirror technology down right. You never know when he's going to pop up. He does a lot of great things, and that's Sean, of course. A lot of great things, not just at the high school level, but I mean, junior high, elementary school. Like he said, he loves his job. He loves what he does. He's all over the place, and I mean, you're constantly being involved in with technology continuing to be a major part of our education system. It's this program, the Desert Sands Educational Foundation, is so important, and there's a chance to highlight some of the many arts programs. I want to say thank you to the National
Drum Major Yadira Laredo.
The was it the Black Hawk Brigade? Is that what it's called?
Yeah. So we have the Black Hawk Brigade that are out there. And
Black Hawk Brigade.
I didn't want to interrupt Daniel in the head, the PA
there you go.
Here, but we got the Black Hawk Brigade that's about to start. I'm actually going to go take a seat over there so I can watch it over with Dr. Wilson. Kevin, I'm going to let you take it away with the rest of the show. Give us the highlights and everything. Thank you so much for partnering with us. And I look forward to next Friday. Oh, it looks like I'm being a little photo bomb here.
What's
up, Sean?
We got one of our own, Jim Curtis, who's joining us. He's part of the Chain Gang. We got to thank our partnership with Jim in the city of Indio for providing StreamYard.
Absolutely. Awesome.
Gotta love the Chain Gang. They're very important. They're a vital part of the game night experience. Anywhere you go, enjoy those Friday night lights wherever you may go. And I really appreciate everyone that volunteers their time on Friday nights.
All right. Hey, Kevin, you have a great night, and I'll let you take it away. Thank you.
You too,
much.
Sean. Of course, he is Sean Webb, as we mentioned before, the Director of Community Engagement and Education at the Educational Foundation at Desert Weber on all social media platforms, as he will go and take a seat and enjoy the festivities going on at the. We'll leave it here just for a little bit, as much as we can. We'll go on the small screen, and again, there's the standings scrolling below in the Desert Valley League. This is an important day for that league. There's only 8 teams. Most of these teams have played 6 games already, so we're down to the nitty gritty. We are getting down and getting down to the wire here, where every touchdown, every yard, every sack means something. And not to take anything away from the Desert Empire League, as we're looking right now, Palm Desert has just scored with 12 seconds to go. Now, of course, we're a little delayed probably in this game to my left. As you can see there, 14-14 tie in a game formerly known as the Mike Gates game. I know on the scroll below, as I bring it up, I still call it the Mike Gates game. I'm very connected, so to speak, to that rivalry name, just because I was there covering this game when it was in its infancy, when it started, the importance of Mike Gates to both the Palm Springs and the La Quinta community. And I still want to give him as much support and his family as much support as possible, and what it means to both schools. But Sean and I were saying that the unfortunately the rivalry has kind of dissipated a bit from what it used to be, because a lot of the staff is not as connected as they were from when Mike was at both schools. But I'm sure we'll spend some time in the future talking about what Mike Gates meant to both of these schools, as we check in there. If you want to, and again, they're not a sponsor, but if you want to check out all the action from the comfort of your own home, if you're not ready to go back out into the world during the more kind of the quarantine 2.0, I guess make that almost like 3.0 now. You can always subscribe to the National Federation of High School Sports. Got some comments coming out. Barry Long, big supporter of Sean. They're commenting on our Facebook page. Leave us a comment below if you got any questions. We'll be around for a couple of moments here. Get you an update on the scores going on right now. We'll get you an updated ticker here in just a moment. But it is 21-7. I apologize. Coachella now with a back to a 2-touchdown lead in that game, and we mentioned now at the half, 14-9, Palm Desert in the Kings of Cook Street game. We saw Xavier three times tonight. They were inside the 10-yard, inside the red zone, most specifically inside the 10, and came away with 2 scores. One time they were, I believe, 3rd and goal, and were knocked back a few yards on a penalty and a loss of yards. Ended up being at 4th and 18, threw a little fade into the corner of the end zone, came up incomplete. And I think a couple plays later, they were able to force Palm Desert to turn the ball over and get back down the field and take the lead, or actually get on the board with the field goal at the time. So again, 14-9 in that game. Scrolling through, seeing some of the other scores going on. Right now, 48-0 in favor of Yucca Valley. A pivotal game for the Trojans after they dropped a must-win game for them last week against Indio. Indio coming from behind, down 2 touchdowns at one point, and they were able to overcome that deficit. So Yucca Valley all over DM, without sounding too negative. It was good. It was a foregone conclusion. It was going to be an easy game for Yucca Valley, but stranger things have happened. And whoa, this just in, folks. It is Cathedral City is not going quietly into the night. It is 21-14 in favor of Coachella. CJ Taylor answers with a 55-yard touchdown catch from O'Shea Wallace to cut down that deficit back to 1 touchdown. And that is a huge game right there. This is a battle for first place in the DVL between Cathedral City and Coachella, both of them with equal 3-1 records. But knocking on the door is Indio High School, 3-4 overall, but those 3 wins all coming in the DVL. They beat Desert Mirage handily, a game that they kind of figured they were going to win. They use it as a bit of a tune-up. The one game they're regretting right now is losing on the road against Cathedral City. They had that game twice. They drove and turned the ball over, including the final drive of the game that inevitably saw them turn the ball over late in that game. But they had 2 turnovers in that game that led to Cathedral City scores. If they would have just held on to the ball, I know it's a shoulda, woulda, coulda thing, but think about it. If you're a Rajah fan, and I know, and I'll put it up here right now, I am the voice of the Rajahs at Voice of Reason 23. It's a game of inches. And if they would have held on to the ball, not given up those 2 scores, we're talking about a whole different DVL. 29 Palms, they have got to get right this ship. They had an overtime game against Indio. Tough loss there. They were trailing at Coachella last week and came from behind. So they have got to get things going. They are last reported. They were still up slightly. Oh, I take that back. They just scored before the half. So it is 14-2 in favor of 29 Palms. So they know how pivotal it is. They have let some games go early in this season, and they can't afford to let any more go. For Desert Hot Springs, they started off hot. There was a lot of expectations for the Golden Eagles, but they have really kind of gone the other direction, so to speak, for their season. But they can try to make it a little bit more respectable. Get on the winning side. They trail right now by at least 2 scores in that game. Taking a look to, let's see if there's any more updates. I don't see any more updates for you. Games that have officially now gone to the half. This just in Shadow Hills has now gone to the half. That game 16-0. And there's the standings right there, how important this game is. The Shadow Hills game, because Shadow Hills, a tough loss last week against Xavier Prep at home. We've kind of followed that game up to halftime last week, and the way we saw it playing, it was a really defensive struggle for both teams, and then finally kind of Xavier was able to pull away. A lot of really, really interesting games last week. You look at 29 Palms going on the road and beating Coachella. Yucca hosting Indio and losing after a 2-touchdown lead. Xavier goes into Shadow Hills undefeated. Shadow Hills undefeated. Xavier goes in there and beats them handily on the road. Palm Desert, as expected, wins, but won in decisive fashion, beating the Blackhawks, their rival, in the flag game. And then Rancho Mirage, shocker to me. I could be wrong. Shocker, goes into Palm Springs and decimates the Indians. Decimates Palm Springs. I couldn't believe my eyes. But and anyways, it's moving day. And what that means is this is a week where schools need to it's lace up your boots. It's time to go to work. It is do or die time. And games to watch tonight. All of them are important. But the Palm Desert Xavier game is must-see TV. Palm Springs La Quinta is important for Palm Springs because they're at 1-1. But think about this though. La Quinta's 0-2, but the entire league, with the exception of Xavier Prep, is 1-1. So 0-2 is not bad if La Quinta can win today. If La Quinta can win today, it's a whole different league. Okay, let's say it shakes out the way it is right now. You got La Quinta that beats Palm Springs. They go 1-2. Palm Springs drops to 1-2. Palm Desert wins and beats Xavier. They're both 2-1. Shadow holds on to beat Rancho Mirage. They're also 2-1. So it's all, and you think about it. Next week you have 3 teams at 2-1. Well, yeah, 2-1. So there's the score right there, 2-1. So Xavier loses, they go to 2-1. Palm Desert wins, they go to 2-1. Shadow Hills beats Rancho, they go to 2-1. Palm Springs loses, they go to 1-2. Rancho, if they obviously lose to Shadow Hills, they go to 1-2. And La Quinta improves to 1-2 if they can beat Palm Springs. If La Quinta can win today, and all that happens, 1-2 and 2-1 is separated by one game, because then it can easily go the other direction. So big game for La Quinta. They got to win tonight. They got to win. They got to move. For Palm Springs, they got to win because they got to start pushing, because that could make a difference. They could go to 2-1 and be right there in the conversation with the Xaviers, the Palm Deserts, and the Shadow Hills. Take a look at the standings. Again, once going to look at the DVL. 3-1 Cat City, 3-1 Cathedral City, 3-1 Indio. One of those 2 teams at the top is for sure going to 4-1. The other's going to 3-2. Indio could go to 3-1. Banning could go to 2-3. Okay, that's also important. Moving day, because even if you don't win the league, you got to move into playoff position. Take a look right now. Okay, I wish there was a way to pause the standings there. By my estimation, okay, win the league you're in. Okay, so let's say right now, let's take a look at I'll just pause it for a second. Let's take a look at the DVL. 5-4, 3-1. Let's just say season ends right now. Coachella Valley is league champion. They go in. Cathedral City, they'd be in. 3-4 Indio, 3-1 in league, maybe an at-large bid. 29 Palms 4-1-1, 2-1-1. It just depends on where they're seated. That could get in. So that's how important it is. Yucca Valley's at 3-3, 2-2. A couple more wins. Win tonight. They're obviously going to go to 4-3. 1-2 more wins. Maybe you can get an at-large bid. But it also, this is when you start rooting for other teams. This is when you start getting, hey, we need you to win. We need you to win. We need you to win. You need you to win because strength of schedule comes into play. No other. It seems like everybody has gone to the half. We mentioned 29 Palms 14-2 in that game. That is now gone officially to the half. And we will be back out amongst the fans. At least I will. Next week, we will be at Indio for senior night, as it will be the one of the final, actually the second to the last home game for the Rajas. Their last home game will be the Bell Bowl against Coachella. And that is going to be a huge, huge matchup. Take a look. You know, and I'll go full homer right now. Okay. Let's take a look at Indio. Because really and truly, this has got to be one of the most intriguing stories right now. Take a look at their schedule. Okay. They're playing Banning tomorrow, who's 1-6. On paper, a W for the Rajas. At home next week against the Golden Eagles, who are, like we mentioned, right now 2-5, 1-3. Could be an evenly matched game. Desert Hot Springs hung with Coachella for a bit, but then Coachella pulled away. But it's possible. It's very, very possible that that Indio's could walk away with a win against Desert Hot Springs. As we go live back to La Quinta High School, we'll take you right up to the half in this matchup, right up to the third quarter, rather. So Indio wins tomorrow. They go overall. They improve to 4-4, 4-1. Okay, then they beat Desert Hot Springs. They go to 5-4. Okay, 5-1 in DVL. And then it sets up the matchup for Coachella. So if Coachella wins tonight, okay, let's take a look at Coachella's schedule. And again, this is all hypothetical. So if Coachella holds on and wins tonight, take a look at their schedule. They have Desert Mirage. They win tonight. They go to 6-2, 4-1. They play Desert Mirage in the Date Bowl next week. Sorry, Desert Mirage. It's going to be a win. They go to 7-2, 5-1 in league. If Indio wins out, Coachella wins out. Both of them 5-1 in league. It's for the league championship in the Bell Bowl, the longest rivalry in the Valley. How about that? That could be amazing. But take a look at the other side. Okay, the last game of the season for Palm Desert. They got to hold on and beat Xavier. Okay, Palm Desert desperately wants that league championship. They've already finished. They already ended their longest league winning streak. Their overall winning streak, their home winning streak. As we'll take you right up to kickoff here in the beginning of the third quarter. I want to talk about Palm Desert real quick before we let you guys go. And again, don't forget @prepsports_net. Tweet at us. Hashtag DSEF halftime. And we'll get your questions or comments. Or if you're watching us on Facebook, whether it be on Prep Sports Net or on Desert Sands Educational Foundation, put a comment in the comment below. It comes right here to the studio. So right there, we'll start the game off, and that is where it is. So you can head over to, if you're a subscriber, NFHS, to watch the rest of that game. So we'll take you right up to halftime of the third quarter of the Xavier Palm Desert game, and then we'll let you go. So let's take a look at Palm Desert. Okay, Palm Desert right now is tied. Is down a half a game in the DVL. 1-1, 2-0. Let's just go hypothetical here. They beat Xavier tonight. And I'm pointing at the TV that's off screen here. They go to 2-1 and beat Xavier. That puts Xavier and Palm Desert 2-1. Okay. They have Rancho Mirage next week. Let's say they win that game. Okay, Palm Desert goes to 3-1. Then they set up for Shadow Hills. Shadow Hills, okay, is playing at Rancho right now. It is all Shadow Hills. Let's say hypothetically they go to 2-1. Okay, and they beat Rancho tonight. Go to 2-1. So they're neck and neck with Palm Desert. Okay. Take a look at their schedule. I'm trying to pull up here on Max Preps. It's not cooperating with me. So Shadow, we know that La Quinta or Palm Desert has a chance to finish out the season. They beat Xavier tonight. If they do, they go to 2-1. Rancho Mirage next week to go to 3-1, matching up against Shadow Hills. Shadow has to play, if they win tonight, they go to 2-1. They got to play Palm Springs. Could be a tough game for Shadow, but let's say they win. They go to 3-1. Guess what that does? You guessed it. League championship on the line. Shadow Hills, Palm Desert. Mind you, Shadow Hills, years ago, the very first time Shadow Hills played, when they were in the De Anza League at the time, and Palm Desert was in the DVL. The first time Shadow Hills played a DVL team, they played Palm Desert at Palm Desert and lost 54-0. Played in the following year, beat them at the Dungeon. Then got blown out the year after that, and so on and so forth. But nonetheless, it's high school football, man. It's high school football. We have a chance for 2 leagues here in the Valley to potentially have a league championship in their final game of the season. We'll talk about this and more throughout the next couple of weeks. All right. It is going to the third quarter in Palm Desert, technically Thousand Palms, whatever you want to call it. It's at Saints Field, 14-9. Palm Desert with the lead. One more trip around the scoreboard at the half, 14-2. 29 Palms over Desert Hot Springs. Okay, we'll do here on the bottom here. So there you go. Right now, going into the third quarter here in a moment, 14-9. I believe right now, let's take one more quick look. It is still 14-14 in that game. They're in the third quarter. Shadow Hills 16-0 at the half. DVL, Coachella up 21-14 at the half. Desert Hot Springs, we mentioned, trailing 14-2 at the half. Yucca Valley 48-0 over Desert Mirage at the half. And of course, like we mentioned, Indio Banning tomorrow in Banning. Go check it out. It should be a lot of fun. I'm Kevin Pillow at Voice of Reason 23. I am the voice of the Indio Rajas. You can check us out next week as the Rajas take on the Golden Eagles of Desert Hot Springs. You can also follow this particular show, Prep Sports Net, at prepsports_net. We have got a Saturday show coming very, very soon. Don't forget, we also will be doing halftime of during the winter sports, and who knows, maybe we'll even do something in the spring. We might get crazy, folks, but always, again, if you're on the Desert Sands Educational Foundation, give us a like, give us a subscription over on YouTube. Same thing with Prep Sportsnet. Hit the subscribe button, leave us a comment, give us a thumbs up, whatever you got to do. Ring that bell for future notifications. And of course, as always, say thank you to CoachellaValley.com. Craig Campbell, as always, thank you so much for being a supporter of ours. And guys, as always, I say this every single week, and I mean it. Go out there and enjoy those Friday night lights. We'll see you next week, guys, for the Desert Sands Educational Foundation halftime show.